back, everyone. It's Darren from Mysterian Gaming here. Today we're running the Eye of Azshara. One of the beginning dungeons in Legion expansion has you going up against the Naga here. As you can see, the final boss is actually in the loading screen picture. But in order to get to the final boss, you actually have to take care of all the other bosses first. So, we're going to go the normal route that you would take normally to take out all the bosses whenever the loading screen decides it wants to finish. Oh goody, it's done. As you can see, can't get to the final boss due to the arcane shielding right there. And if you try to get near, where as you can see one of the Naga there channeling, you're going to actually take a lot of damage. So, we're going to get right into it. I'm going straight ahead for the first boss. And normally, you wouldn't go straight ahead. You would take this pathway where you take out these two Naga here. Then you would go through here, the tents going this way, take out the small group here. And then, for safety reasons, you want to take out the big old crusher here as well to get him out of the way. And then all you have to do is kill that two group there. And then kill the group right here, and then you're right at the first boss.
Intruders, they will not get far.
As you can see, Warlord Harjes is your first boss. Now, as you can see, he has abilities known as Crashing Wave, which will inflict frost damage to all targets that are hit by it. And on Heroic and above, Crashing Wave will actually leave behind puddles of quicksand that does nature damage to all targets within it for 2 seconds, which will also reduce your movement speed while inside by 70%. So you want to get out as soon as possible. Now, Impaling Spear is he'll throw his spear at an enemy, rendering the first target struck. The strike does physical damage and additional damage every 2 seconds and stuns for 12. Now, you can use the Impaling Spear on the Azshara summon. Now, as you see, he has Call Reinforcements, which he'll call Shellbreaker and a Crest Rider. Shellbreaker has Bellowing Roar, does physical damage to everyone. On Heroic and above, it has Motivated, which after using the Roar, it becomes more motivated, increasing the damage done by 15% for 30 seconds, and it will stack. Now, the Crest Rider has Lightning Strike, which is just random nature damage done to a random player. And Restoration, which should be interrupted, which will channel restorative waters around the allies, healing them for 4% of their health every 2 for 6 seconds. In my opinion, if you want to get one of these ads impaled, you want to do it on the Crest Rider because you could interrupt the healing because you want to kill the Shellbreaker before it gets motivated buffs. Now, it has the Warlord also has Enrage, which will at reaching 30% remaining health, he'll Enrage, getting an extra 30% haste. So, we're going to show you some of the abilities here, and enjoy.
Ah, we meet again, weakling. Now it's just you and me and my guards.
Gonna stay right here, so move the Warlord up a little bit. So my Fey ability is lined up where I can
Fools! Get out of the way!
as you can see, that's why you want to use the Impaling Spear.
You can't stop the storm.
Now, I guess I did do the achievement right, but I can always do a video later on that. Or I might have actually had the achievement on this character. You never know. Well, we're going to make our way to Lady Hatecoil. Now, Lady Hatecoil, as you can see, is up in the air. She's currently shielded and untargetable. In order to break this shield, you'll want to kill 2 of the Arcanists here. Now, there's a big radius here of getting too close. So, even then, back then, you get too, it's pretty big. So you kind of want to hug this boat, make your way this way, cross through here, and then go for the ad on this side. That way, you killed your 2, and Lady Hatecoil will come down.
It seems we have pests.
Now you see these little landmass piles of dirt, sand here, I guess you would call them, are going to play a part in this fight. Now for Lady Hatecoil, Static Nova is when she electrifies the water, doing nature damage and stunning anyone in the water for 5 seconds. When she casts this, you want to be on one of these little piles of sand. Focus Lightning, she'll target all players with a lightning strike, doing nature damage, and any lightning strikes will blow away any nearby sand dunes. So if this hits one of them, they are gone. Now there's excess lightning along with this, that each player struck with this will release excess lightning, inflicting nature damage to nearby players, and causing any of it hitting the sand dunes here to make them go away as well. Now we have Becking Storms, where she'll summon the Tides of Aether, which will summon several of these little droplets that you see. Their abilities are Watery Splash, which will explode upon death, doing frost damage to any players within 5 yards and reducing movement speed by 6%, by 20% for 6 seconds. Her Curse of the Witch is she'll curse enemies with arcane magic. Now, when the curse is removed, the player that it was removed from will release a blast of arcane energy in a frontal cone. Anyone hit by it will knock away players, but will also kill these little droplets. Now, on Heroic and above, she'll have Monsoon. Now, this Monsoon will follow their nearest target, knocking them into the air and blow away any sand dunes that it comes in contact with. As well as Crackling Thunder, which vicious lightning strikes hit players who leave her arena, inflicting nature damage and increasing the damage they take by Crackling Thunder for 20 seconds. We're going to get into this fight.
Continue the ritual! I will handle these fools!
Now, her arena is this area here. You don't want to go outside it.
Just you wait!
As you see, you want to get on here, because all the water would have been electrified, and I would have been hit.
The waters rise! A storm is gathering!
Now, the achievement for her is a bit of a time drag if you're solo running, because you need to get 20 of her summon sea salt droplets and use this debuff here, the Curse of the Witch,
Landwalkers!
to kill them. So you could literally walk away and wait till she has about 20 of them. I don't know how long it is supposed to take for you to get 20, but
There's no
it takes a while. I think it takes like roughly almost 10 minutes just to get 20 to spawn. And then you gotta wait for her to actually put the curse on you and hope that you hit them all in one shot.
Can you feel the winds? They come for you.
Now we're gonna mount up and try to get near them and see what happens. As you see, even at high level, I got burned to a crisp. Now just imagine it back there in Legion. It was nasty. And luckily, our next boss is literally right here. Serpenix, or Serpentrix. Now, I'm not going to clear out all the trash because I can take it out. But, as you can see, you would have to clear out a lot of the trash mobs here without pulling the boss. Hopefully not here. Now, the boss... Ooh, do I have access to that? No, unfortunately. I see these little puddle holes here. This is where the boss could pop up out of anywhere. Now, this boss is in solo. Oh, yeah, there will be environmental happening to here where you'll get pushed by wind sometimes. There will be lightning strikes trying to hit you. Also, there's a lot of skinning here in this one area. But we're going to bring up Serpentrix. Now, as you can see, Submerge is when it... Serpenix, upon reaching 33 and 66% health, Serpenix will submerge and emerge at a distant location, summoning 2 Hydra spawns. Now you'll get the Arcane or the Blazing spawn. The Blazing has Blazing Nova, which does fire damage to all enemies within 100 yards. Same with Arcane Blast from the Arcane Hydra, is blast random target with arcane damage. Now the downside for the player, is the Arcane gets Arcane Charged, which increases the damage they dealt by 50%. So when you're prioritizing which ad to go after, it always was the Arcane because of the damage buff. Now for Serpentrix. Rampage should be interrupted. If it's unable to reach an enemy within melee, it ends in Rampage and just starts spitting poison everywhere. Now Toxic Wound is Serpentrix will cause a toxic wound on a random player, causing the player to create trail toxic puddles. They'll create a puddle at the location, and these will inflict nature damage every second. Poison Spit is when Serpentrix will spit poison on a random target, and the spit will actually travel faster or slower depending on the direction of the winds. We're going to blast Serpentrix with my Flame Shock. As see, that is Rampage. You'll want to interrupt that and make sure you're within melee range. Now I have Toxic Wound on me, and as you can see, I am creating Toxic Puddles. And as it spawns in this new area, you gotta get in melee range and interrupt it fast before you are doused with poison. Now you see here's Blazing Nova. And as you can see, you got your Arcane trying to cast Arcane spells on me. And as you can see, it gets a stacking buff. And as usual, you do want to interrupt Rampage whenever it pops. Now back then, groups got pretty good at just simply burning down this boss. They wouldn't even bother focusing on the ad. Just straight for the boss and just burn it down. As you can see, you can also skin this boss. Now after normally you have all these ads cleared, you could actually avoid other ads by following this little pathway right here. Cutting through some areas you would actually be able to avoid. You also could avoid this bad here. Now, for stealthers, you would actually have to go out of stealth, because some of these giants actually have stealth detect. So you would have to break out your stealth and just hug the wall here on the right. Now we're going to head our way to King Deepbeard. Now you would end up having to fight these, I don't know exactly what their species name is, but we're just going to call them the Bitter Brine Slaves, along with some Murlocs. Now, if you could, avoid trying to aggro these snails. They could be a little bit of a pain back then, I remember. Nowadays, not. Now, if you went the right path, you could actually avoid the giant and the murloc completely by going this route. Sometimes there will also be a world quest requiring you to go back here to kill something. Or even better is a supply chest you could loot. Now, as you say, you make your way up here, you'll have to take out these two giants. And lightning does slightly intensify in this area, so make sure you're watching the ground. Now here we are at King Deepbeard. Here we go. King Deepbeard will call upon the sea to his aid. The call of the sea inflicts frost damage every 0.3 seconds. Gaseous bubbles will be cast and you'll absorb 2,000 plus damage, but also cause an explosion if the bubble is not depleted. So basically, you get this, you actually want to get rid of it by taking damage. If you don't, you get the gaseous explosions, which could be deadly back then on Heroic and above, which causes the rub to do frost damage to all players equal to the amount that is remaining. So either you wanted to get rid of it or get rid of most of it. Now, he also has a normal ground slam, which does physical damage to anyone within 15 yards of the impact location, and it does ignore armor. And Quake, which he'll cause quakes that inflict physical damage to enemies and their allies. Now, the quakes will cause aftershocks after 4 seconds. These will inflict physical damage to enemies within 5 yards of the target.
You weaklings will drown beneath these waves.
Here's ground slam, of course.
Before the crashing waves comes the quake. Seas, obey my command.
And here's Call of the Sea, which you just need to avoid these little blue circles. That was pretty much the most of this fight
The
is.
earth trembles before the rising tide.
It's more or less.
But my queen will not.
More or less, it's just avoiding stuff while fighting. If you could avoid everything, the fight was easy. Now, as you can see, the arcane shielding has been broken. Now, to actually engage this boss, you will need to kill the 4 ritualist Naga here, channeling. Now, normally the way we would end up doing it is we would have someone who can get out of the roots or stuns or snares and just get all of them at one shot. Because they're not really that strong, but each of them will have an ability that will get transferred to the boss that you'll have to be aware of.
I must get closer.
And as you can see, one of them is the arcane orb here. Some of this is crashing waves.
The tides rise.
Now here is the Wrath of Azshara. Now, it's a handmaiden, okay. So, this is technically a she. Well, she will inflict frost damage with massive sludge to any players in front of her, knocking them away. Mystic Tornado is where she'll summon an arcane tornado, inflicting arcane damage and knocking players away. Arcane Bomb is when she casts a massive arcane bomb to fall upon a specific player's location. When dispelled, the bomb no longer will attract the target, but will continue to fall. Upon reaching the ground, the bomb will detonate, doing arcane damage to any players within 10 yards and stunning them for 6 seconds. Raging Storm is when She will inflict the power of a raging storm when no enemies are within melee range, inflicting frost damage to all players, increasing the frost damage they take by 10% for 20 seconds, and this will stack quite rapidly. Now on Heroic and above, you have Crushing Depths. This is when she'll target a player for crushing detonation, inflicting 60% of their maximum health and physical damage. This percentage is split among all players within 12 yards of the targeted player. Now for healers, you gotta be aware of the heaving sands. These melee attacks will cause the ground to tremble, inflicting physical damage to all players. And also in Heroic and above, you have Elemental Resonance. Now, the Wrath here won't be immune to magic. She is a being of immense magical energy, and upon striking foes with magic, there is a lingering effect behind. Now, Magic Resonance, arcane nature damage from the Wrath will mark the target, inflicting the damage they take from them by 10% for 5 minutes. This will stack. And as you can see, the HP here is not that high, but this is a DPS race, along with dodging mechanics. Now you got your Frost Resonance, which frost damage from her will reduce the movement speed by 5% for 5 minutes, which it does stack as well. Now, Cry of the Wrath is when she empowers the weather at 10% remaining of her health, and calls forth and vastly intensifies the destructive storm.
All will be eradicated!
As you can see, we're going to move out of melee range. And as you can see, Heaving Sands is now active. And as you see, Raging Storm will be cast. There's Massive Dodge. There's an Arcane Tornado right there, as you can see. Here's Crushing Depths.
Seek!
There's the Waves. There's the Orb. Now, I believe the achievement specifically for this boss is to avoid all this stuff, not get hit once.
Tempest! Eternal!
As you can see, it's actually one of the Ready for Raiding achievements. And this is Ready for Raiding number 5. Now this boss is actually part of the quest chain here in this area. But Ready for Raiding 5 is, you defeat the Wrath without being struck by magical or frost resonance in the Eye of Azshara on Mythic. Now I was wrong, you just don't need to get the resonance. Basically, you don't get hit by anything. This was I was pretty much right. But other than that, this has been the Eye of Azshara, and this is Hysterian Gaming, asking you to please like and subscribe to my videos. Also go check out my Twitch channel. Until then, I'll see everyone in the next video.